When we are put in a survival mechanism, we behave differently. Sometimes it works against us in sales. The key for resilience, it wasn't getting knocked down and bouncing back. For me, it was all about bouncing forward. What just happened to me that can help me propel myself forward? How can this punch in the face energize me? So the biggest thing that holds everyone back is judgment. It's a protective mechanism, right? It's not your fault. There's two things that can happen with a setback.
Hey folks, this is Michael Ocean, founder and CEO of SellMeThisPen. Today I'm super excited because I have Michael D'Angelo on the show today. And just to share a little bit about his background, he has over 30 years of experience in selling, leading, and enabling sales teams. He worked with major companies like Microsoft, IBM, and several startups. But recently, he shifted his focus to people enablement, and we will get into that. He founded Result Lab to help people achieve great results faster. So today we're going to chat about building resilience in sales through coaching, especially when things are tough. I mean, like every day in sales, right? Mike, how's it going, my friend?
Michael, great to be here with you. Thank you for that intro. I love it. And gosh, who doesn't need more resilience today, right?
That's true. Yeah, that is
Thanks
true.
for having me.
Of course, my pleasure. So, Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey? How did you end up in sales and what brought you to enablement? So we're curious to hear that.
First, I love that question. Thank you. What got me to sales? We're gonna parking lot that one. But my journey in sales has been anything but a straight line. To your opening there, 30 years in sales. I've seen the highs and lows, man. I've crushed it as a top performer, right? Like, yay me. President's Club, and I've consistently hit overquoted targets, right? Like, so you'd want to hear from a guy like me. But the flip side of that is, man, I've seen the other side. I've missed targets, right? I've missed like in 30 years. If you're hitting it every year, every 30 years, like hit me up. I want to know your secret. So 360 months at doing this. I've missed. I've been put on pips. I've been pipped. This guy here on the other side of the camera is a loser by all sense of the word, right? I've been on a performance improvement plan, not once, multiple times. And I've even gone through rifts. I've been on the other side of the layoffs and reductions in workforce. Yeah, but all of that to say, I've also had promotions, right? That have made me feel unstoppable. And I've had demotions that have just knocked me flat on my tail, right? It was in those moments that the tough ones I learned the most about resilience and most about myself. So I think this is really a great topic to talk about because sales is like a roller coaster, isn't it?
Absolutely. I love the transparency. Like with social media, some of us tend to just always keep that, superstar, high performer sort of image. But to me, a great coach, a great leader, a great human being shows vulnerability, shows and shares the reality of, their life and career because people relate to it. We all been through, some of these challenges that you mentioned, especially if you spend enough time in sales. It's nothing it's nothing that you can avoid. Like it happens to you one way or another at some point. To your point, if someone is consistently hitting targets for 30 years and never seen, layoffs or pips or, just losing quotas, like the simplest, thing you can share, then I really want to get to know that person because this is going to be an interesting, conversation.
There is so much artificial turf out there, right? So much, the grass is always greener. Look how great my life is. I like to keep it real. Really, that's my goal, is really to help others navigate their own ups and downs. Because, hey, look, my journey is my journey and your journey is your journey. And whoever's listening to this, that's their journey. And you shouldn't be comparing your chapter, whatever, to my chapter or your chapter, right? We're all on this on our own. But here's what I learned. The world is ultimately conspiring against us.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one wants to hear that. Everyone's like, oh, it's all fantastic. And what that causes is, people are stressed. I think we were talking about in the pre-read into this is like, you're talking to sales leaders. I'm talking to sales leader. People are stressed and ICs are fearful and they're worried. And here's what I know. You need a good defense, right? When the world's conspiring against you, you need a good defense. You need a strategy. And if you don't have a strategy, you're defenseless. So I hope the purpose of today is let's talk a little bit about how to have a strategy, how to be more resilient.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love this. Look, you've been around, man, 30 years.
360 months.
Yeah. I remember when we started selling this pen. It was what, 3 years ago. I
Yeah.
reached out to you. I was in Europe, and you were super open, about sharing your insights and feedback. And we chatted about so many things, so many times, and I'm always appreciative of this. But I wanted to, hear from you. When was the moment that you felt that, basically aha moment, like this is the time I want to, make that switch? And I know you build up your own methodology, Result OS. I want
Yeah.
to hear about that a little bit more as well. What happened? How did you, end up switching from sales and, starting your own thing?
I was invited not to return to the company. I was invited not to return to the company. So my aha moment was when I got knocked down again. And I think what's important for maybe for the audience is like giant step back. Like, what the heck is resilience anyway? Right? What is resilience? I'm going to flip that back to you. Like, how does Michael define resilience?
You get punched, but you keep
Get
coming
punched.
back up.
Yeah,
That's how I look at it.
that's
For
right.
me, resilience means you will get punched. Like, it's not something unexpected. You will get punched. Can you, take a step back and look at what happened? And
Mhm.
yes, just you can grieve it a little bit, and that's fine, and start over. Like, that's how I define it.
You nailed it. So I always ask the question, what's the opposite of resilience? I'll flip that back to you.
I would say, for a lack of a better word, mindedness. So it means like you're not open to accepting the reality and change.
I love it. All right. Like you're spot on. And that's like, if we were to literally poll everybody, everyone's going to say, yeah, resilience about like getting knocked down and getting back up again. But the opposite of it is it's being rigid, it's being weak, it's being fragile, it's being defeated, it's being right. Like in sales, we literally can't be defeated. So for me, it wasn't a buzzword. It became survival. Right. Like to
Hmm.
your point, I don't do this. Who's going to do it?
Hmm.
And with that whole survival, and this is a challenge with resilience, and I think this will go to some of our further dialogue or our upcoming dialogue. When we are put in a survival mechanism, we behave differently. Sometimes
Hmm.
it works against us in sales, and I think that will be an unlock for a lot of people. But look, here's what I've learned: sales is unpredictable. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%, 110%. You have
Right. So
control over
one day
it.
we're winning, and the next day we're not. We're knocked down. We're not in the RFP. We were
Yeah.
bounced. Right? We didn't make it to the final round. So the key for me for resilience um, wasn't getting back up, right? It wasn't getting knocked down and bouncing back. For me, it was all about bouncing forward. What
Mm.
what just happened to me that can help me propel myself forward? How can this punch in the face energize me? And right, like I don't know, I've never been hit in the face. No, no.
I've been.
Right? Well,
Yeah.
but that comes from anti-fragile, right? So like this idea of resilience is important, but being anti-fragile in sales is really what it's all about. So I would say, not to change the title of the podcast, but man, resilience is super important. But we really want to help sellers become and sales leaders anti-fragile. And that's what I think about. Like, how can I grow from this opportunity? So for me, that was the that was the turning point. It was like I've been hit and knocked down and the snot kicked out of me so many times. What is the gift and opportunity? What can I learn from that? So for me, resilience is really this mind shift. So it's shifting the mind. I hate the word mindset. I use it. I fall into the trap, right? Ooh, it's got to have a mindset. It's really about shifting the mind because set's like kind of like set,
Hmm.
permanent.
Hmm.
So how can we shift our mind and reframe those tough moments and asking ourselves, like, what did I learn? What's important here? Like right now. So you'll hear me throughout and stuff I publish. It's all about a win-ing mindset, WIN dash ing set. So what's that mind shift for winning? What's important now? What did I learn?
You said something really interesting. Like I said, look, when you get knocked down, you have to, get back to the game. And you said it's about actually learning, something new about it and move forward. It's about actually using it as an opportunity to do better,
Yeah.
not to take a step back and just go back to where you were, because then you have a very, a set mindset. Speaking of mindset,
Yes.
so you're going back to where you were. How can I take this to my advantage to actually do more and better? You want to hear a real story while you opened it up? Because you're so open, I want to share a little bit,
Yeah, I totally. That's what this is all about.
I did my first podcast about a year ago, and it was with a dear friend of mine. He's going to be on the show as well. Most of us know him actually in the space. And I screwed it up so badly. I was in such a weird mental state, if you will,
Mhm.
that I mumbled. I still mumble sometimes, but the reality is like when I screwed up that podcast, and it was really important to me because it was like one of the first 5 podcasts I've done.
Yeah.
I reached out to him. I was like, dude, I really screwed it up. It's going to make you look bad. It's going to make me look bad. Can we do another time? He was kind enough. We did another round. And for the longest time, I was like, oh man, I don't want to do podcasts ever again. Because look, I'm good at certain things. I can go and do public speaking. I go on my client calls. Let's put that, completely aside. And for certain reasons, this
Hmm.
opportunity, opened up that maybe podcast is, helpful to educate the market, not only about our business, about what's actually happening. You're on this call because I shared with you right before, we hit record. So that some of my clients are actually dealing with very, very hard time. And I
Yes.
might not be equipped with, tools and understanding of how to help them. So this
Yeah.
might bring some value to them, how to really navigate some of these opportunities to do better next time because they don't hit numbers. It's been 2 years that people are really struggling.
Yeah.
So I decided to actually do it. So look, this is my fear. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to do it. It's really difficult. It's still difficult for me to do it, but that opens up new opportunities. I started like again connecting with some of my old contacts after years, and they're
Yes.
like, "Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it." So, to your point, it's just about actually taking it as an opportunity and do it, and doing it.
If I had anything, Michael, that's the unlock for your audience, for whoever's watching us. Every setback, there's two things that can happen with a setback, right? And a setback can be like a hot coal, right? Put a hot coal in your hand and hold on to it. Squeeze it as hard as you can. And the question is, how long do you want to hold on to it? So I'll ask you, how long do you want to hold on to that like negative thing?
I'm weak. It's gonna be a couple of seconds. So.
Oh, right? Like, woo, like gone, right? Totally. Like physical pain, man, we hold on to that hot coal, we're letting it go.
Yeah.
Up here, the 6 inches between those ears, how long do you let that coal just simmer?
Mm-hmm.
I suck. I can't.
Mm.
Right? I'm defeated. Right? We all talk about being strong in this mindset, mind shift of being resilient, but we so often will leave our brain on that hot coal. Now, I'd like to offer to everyone, don't. Like, stop. Right? Like, just stop holding on to that negative thought. And when you do, it's going to be an unlock. Because here's what I knew. That hot coal, when we let it go, we can look at it and go, what is the gift and opportunity? Now, you have something really bad happen, right? You get fired. Is it the end of the world? No. Does it suck? Yeah. Right? You lose the deal. Is it the end of the world? No. Does it suck? Yeah. But whatever it is, what can you learn from it? What is the gift and opportunity? So we either have to learn to convert that into a gift of knowledge, of power, or inspiration, right? And if we can't, still let go of the coal and just accept it for what it is. And you're like, I don't know what the gift is, right? Like right now, I got punched and I'm sitting in the corner and I need like a little time out, but acknowledge the feeling. I like to call it AVP, not associate vice president, but AVP, accept, acknowledge, like I just got punched in the face, right? Validate it. That hurt and it sucked. It's okay. And give yourself the permission to feel whatever you're feeling. It's totally normal, right? I don't want anyone to like suppress their feelings. And this isn't getting into like, voodoo, foo-foo, woo-woo, sunshine, raincorns, and unicorns. Yeah, unicorns and rainbows. See, I get tongue-tied too, and I'm embarrassing you on this podcast right here.
I love it. It's as real as it gets.
It's as real as it gets. Sorry, not polished.
Unfiltered.
So, I mean, that's it. You hit it. It's a gift. It's an opportunity. It's a way to come back. You're like, what did I learn? Your prep for this was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Look, I think I personally have this tendency when I get punched, I want to do it. Like maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I'm still exploring, trying to learn about myself and the way my brain react to certain, setbacks. And maybe it's a good thing because I face it. I keep doing it until I get better at it.
Yeah,
And it comes with a lot of challenges, obviously. Like I really feel weird even about it. Like, oh man, this is not my thing. Why am I doing it? I sometimes have it, but I constantly doing it until it becomes second nature, and I'm like, "Whew, I got it." And to your point, not everybody wants to jump right in and face that challenge right away. There's no good and bad here. You
that's
said something interesting. Take a step back, accept that you get punched and it sucks. It sucked big time when you got it. It hurt, right? How should they start after? Do they even have to start after? Like, what should they do, especially sales teams? Let's just be more specific about sales teams. You get punched, you don't hit your quota, you get
yeah.
fired, whatever might happen to you. It's hard. You always have these upside downs that you have to deal with. What are the strategies that you've seen working for you and for others that really flip the script?
Yeah. First thing is stop. Just stop. Like literally stop. Like stop. So it's short for slow down, right? Do I have to make something? Do I have to change it? Do I have to accept it convert it into a gift or opportunity right now? No, you don't. Did it hurt? Yeah. Did it suck? Yeah. So slow down, right? And then the T is think. Think. What just happened? Why did it happen? Right? The O is observe. Observe what I'm feeling about myself, about others, right? Because man, that buyer did me wrong. They promised. They were, yeah, right? I don't trust people, right? Observe. Do I have that feeling? And then process all of that, right? Process what it is that you could do differently. So that part of processing is about coming up with a plan that you can move forward with. So I'll pause there. I'll put a pin in that. There's more actionable steps, but did that help?
100%. Like, I personally think like the first word stop is very powerful. Sometimes things, especially when you're in a tough situation as a sales organization, whether it be individual contributors or as a leader, things are not working.
Uh-huh.
We've seen it right now. Again,
Uh-huh.
things are very challenging. How can we really apply this, framework that you just mentioned? How can we really make it work for our team? Because saying it in the moment works. It worked for me. Like I
Yeah.
was like, all right, like chill, take a step back. Things are okay. But how can we really help our team to not only understand it, but continuously applying it? Because hearing it right now in the moment is amazing, it's effective. But as soon as I go back on field and I face the same challenges, how can
Yeah.
I stop? How can I just take a step back when I know I'm going to get fired, or my numbers are not going to be met? I know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's real, right? That's the real feel. And that's the pressure. This is where you asked me where my aha moment came in.
Yeah.
And I like to call this the spaghetti incident. I worked at Microsoft and I had a colleague and she was always crazy busy, like running around like a nut, like respectfully, but a nut. And she was like, I said, Tracy, how's it going? She's like, I have no idea. I said, what do you mean? Because like, I'm just throwing spaghetti against the wall, right? The spaghetti analogy, see what sticks. Typically you throw
Yeah.
spaghetti to make sure it's done, it's cooked, it's ready to go. But her strategy was spaghetti against the wall. I said, can I ask you a question? She goes, yeah, but hurry. She was on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what's actually working? She goes, I have no idea. I don't have time to stop and evaluate what's working. I was like, wow. For me, that was an unlock. And so I was able to help her process that. So I think part of it is in sales, we're always in a hurry to get to the next thing. And one thing that I teach people, I coach them on is how to become more mindful before we open up an email, respond to the email. Here's a huge trigger for anyone out there. You got Slack or Teams and you get the chime, the ping, the whatever, the and you see somebody's name. I'm not going to tell you whose name it is. It's somebody's name. And you're like, what do they possibly mean? You feel it?
Oh,
Hate
every
it.
day, every day.
So what I teach is, okay, that's a trigger. That something happened. You are about ready to pick up a hot coal. But in our mind, we're ready to pick up this hot coal. So slow down. Maybe take a few deep breaths. Maybe change your breathing. Maybe clear your mind and think. Am I reading tone into this? It's really, really hard. Am I just getting triggered because of something else? And that's how you process it. So like you literally can say, I need to stop before I do everything, right? I need to slow down. I need to think. I need to observe, and I need to process before I plan my next step, my action. So I'd say simplistically, you can do this every single day. So we teach a habit of waking up every morning and slowing down, waking up every morning and slowing down, waking up every morning when I wash my hands and feeling the water, the warmth of the water, the soap, the bubbles, the suds, right? When I'm brushing my teeth, the bristle of the brush, like you're slowing down and you're really taking things in through the senses. And where we have a pretty powerful mechanism here, the five senses and the brain. And when we wire them together, we actually become more mindful and a little bit more calm. And so that when we get that ping, that ding, that email, that, you got to update Salesforce. I mean, maybe I need your forecast, right? You didn't update blah, blah, blah report. Slow down, think, right? What questions do you have about that?
So
Because
my
it's a little
question is,
foo-foo, isn't it?
yeah, it is, but I think you kind of actually gave me the answer. It's really practical to start even looking at things outside of our sales orgs. Like you start your day. This is me, by the way. I'm guilty of it. I want fast. I want to go. I think that has something to do with a culture embedded into our brain that things need to move fast. Although we talk about it, yeah, it's good to sometimes just slow down. Talking about things are, amazing, but
Yeah.
it don't change anything. It just make you look, you know, great. But in reality, to your point, let's start with the first thing you do in the morning. I have bad habits. I jump right in, check my emails. If everything is safe and secure, I'm okay. Then let's go make some breakfast or walk the dogs or whatever. I
Yeah.
do this all the time. And to your point, why? Just take a step back and say, look, that's okay. That's okay. You have time. Because
Yeah.
in reality, you do have time. It's just a it's just a way we program our brain, and through bad repetition, we build a habit out of it. This is how I look at it. If I do this again every day, that okay, I don't even have time to eat. Literally, human being, it's your
Yeah.
fuel. I skip it. I
Uh-huh.
literally skip it and no problem whatsoever because I
Mm-hmm.
have to move fast. My clients are waiting. I'm onboarding someone. You can start actually, improving by simple things.
You can. And so that's what I have. You said, what was the aha moment? Simple is better, right? Just so simplifying everything. And let me ask you the question. Do you want to have a great day? Sure. Right. I'm not going to say, no, I want to have a really shitty day. Yes, of course. I want to have a great day. So you can intentionally have a great day. And if anyone applied one thing from this call, everyone has the mind shift to have a great day begins with you. And so great is an acronym, right? It's part of this results operating system is really there's three frameworks and great is one part. I think everyone has the capability to be great. And so the G in great is all about gratitude. And so when you go back to starting your day, whether you believe in a morning routine or a power hour or, 40 minutes, you can take a few minutes every day and write down, what are you grateful for? Even before a sales call, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for I'm here and not somewhere else. I'm grateful for this pipeline opportunity. I'm grateful for this disco, right? I'm grateful for, right, being able to propose. I'm grateful for the demo. I am grateful for, I've got a solution engineer here to partner with me to do the demonstration, right? I'm grateful for the support team, right? Like if we express more gratitude, you're going to have a great day. And it's going to come across because you're like brimming with gratitude. So that's the G in great. The R is all about your relationships. But here's the unlock. And we touched on it. We like nibbled around the edges a lot. We think about relationships like, Yeah, well, like what's my relationship with my colleagues or my boss or my system engineer or that whoever. I've got a better question. What's your relationship with yourself like?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Do you respect yourself? Do you trust yourself? And here's one really squishy. Do you love yourself? Right? If you don't, who else will? Now, what are your relationships like with others? And what's your relationship like with email, Slack, your clients, CRM, right? What's your relationship like with food? What's your relationship like with money? What's your relationship like with, you name it? We could go on and on and on. So focus on your relationships. If you're grateful for things in the morning and you focus like, these are the people that need me on my A game, these are the relationships that matter the most, I guarantee you'll have the E. And the E is the energy. You will show up with more energy, passion, joy, confidence, courage, you name it, all the positive things that you want, because you're focused on what you're grateful for and you have these relationships that you're going to focus in. So you will bring the energy. And we talked about it. What are we eating? What are we putting in our biscuit hole, right? Are we getting enough sleep? Are we getting enough movement? All of that impacts our energy. It impacts our resilience, right? Remember, we're still on the topic of resilience. I'm grateful for this thing that was bad that happened to me. I've got an amazing support system of relationships to help me through it. I need the right level of energy to get me through it, which goes to the A, my attitude. My attitude, I can choose to hold on to the hot coal or let it go. Do I want to choose a negative attitude on this or a positive attitude on this? I don't know. Choice is yours. Like, it's mind shift. And then time, where the time in great is T, where are we spending our time? What are we focusing on? The past, the shit that went wrong, or what we need to do differently moving forward? I think you'll have a great life and a great day and a very successful career in sales and sales management. All right. Woo!
I
We
love
got
it.
from
Look, you see, I'm quiet. I'm a talkative guy. I'm thinking. So you said if one person gets something out of this call, you achieve
this
that.
one.
There you go. So no, this is really, really interesting. I think our leaders and our coaches need coaching. Need coaching not only on skill sets, but also mindset. And
Yep.
sometimes, to your point, you started this talk, and I liked it a lot because it's not all about like, I don't know, butterflies and rainbows and unicorns.
Unicorns.
Like
Yeah, we got to throw those in there.
it, it, like honestly, just being calm as a leader, being calm and having that sense of, you know, acceptance and
Yeah.
calmness. It's something that really translates to better relationship to your team, and I think people will kind of like get it from you, because if you are a type of leader that always like in a rush, always challenged by any setbacks, your
Yeah.
team will pick it up naturally. And I think you run your organization with fear. And as a human being, like you have life. Like let's just screw the sales and all this stuff. Just put them aside for a second. It has negative effect on your life. Like I give an example about myself. Skip meals easily, in a hurry, all the time.
Uh-huh.
And when you take a step back and really just, even in the moment, right now, I'm sitting with you, I'm thinking, does this really even matter? Like, do I need to really jump on things and be that crazy about things when
Yeah.
I don't have control over so many other things?
I like what you just brought up because that sense of calm. I ran across this word maybe a year ago. Shit was really hitting the fan for me. And I heard this guy say equanimity. I'm like, what? I literally had to hit rewind the podcast a few times. I'm like, equa, huh?
Can I?
Equa. And I had to look it up. I'm like, I don't even know how to spell this word. And then I literally have dialed into this word equanimity, which is really all about being calm in the midst of challenge. And I think that's kind of like what we've locked into here is this sense of calmness and being a little bit more equanimitable. And to me, equanimity is really about graceful resilience. And leaders definitely, they brought a lot more, not a little, a lot more equanimity to the situation. it would enable their sellers and empower their sellers to do a lot more.
Do you believe your reps burn leads practicing on client calls? When it comes to giving them one-on-one coaching sessions, you just don't have the bandwidth, so you get rid of them altogether? Or maybe you notice that your team spends a lot of time on non-revenue tasks like taking notes, updating CRM, or drafting emails. These are the exact challenges we solve for other revenue leaders like yourself. With SellMeThisPen AI Coach, you can offer your reps role-play sessions at scale while automating one-on-one coaching sessions based on your best practices and methodology. Also, AI will take care of all their non-revenue tasks, like note-taking, CRM updates, draft the email for them, so they can focus on constant improvement while you're focusing on one thing and one thing only: revenue growth. If you're interested in learning more about the clients we are working with or use cases that might be beneficial to you, check us out at SellMeThisPen.ai. What's the root cause for not actually equipping our sales leaders with the ability to bring that sense of coldness to our sales organizations?
Goes back to the way that we opened: survival. It's in our survival brain, right? We are still thinking, like cavemen, right? Like back when we had to be very cognizant of things that were going to kill us, poison us, right? We had to identify the snake, not the beautiful butterfly, right? Like we had to be hyper aware of our environment. And so this is something that I help leaders unpack. I help individual contributors unpack. It's based off of the survival brain. There's 10 universal, if I told you that there's 10 universal principles that impact you and your performance, me and my performance, and every listener of this podcast, it's true. And the more that you understand this about yourself, you're going to better understand it about your buyer, about your team, about your leader. And one of the root causes is we're not taking time to understand our judgment. So the biggest thing that holds everyone back is judgment. It's a protective mechanism, right? It's not your fault. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to understand that judgment of yourself holds you back. Judgment of others, that buyer. Remember the last buyer who promised you the world and you didn't get the deal, right? And now we're taking that mentality into the next thing. Remember that reduction in workforce, that layoff that you were part of? Yeah, well, you're taking that judgment of how that company screwed you into your next gig, right? So we're always judging others, and social ain't helping, right? Our feeds aren't helping. We're scrolling that thing and we're judge. Should I like that one? Right? I'm comparing now, like we talked earlier, right? So we are literally training our brains every day that we're in the feed and we're scrolling, judge. Judging ourselves, are we good enough? Judging others. And if we really took a step back and say, what is the impact of my judgment on others, my judgment on myself, judgment on circumstances? What's that impact? I think we'd be a lot better off because we would be able to have more empathy with others and empathy with ourselves. So as leaders, the very most important thing that you can do is empathize. Like, you have no idea, Michael, I have no idea what's going on in your world, brother. And I hope everything is okay. But you could just be going through something terrible that I don't even know about. But we don't ask. Boy, did we down a rabbit hole here, brother.
Look, I would continue this for hours, but I want to respect your time.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm going to ask my last question.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about this one because I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Look, just imagine a company reach out to you and say, hey, you're going to work with my sales team. They just, missed their target back to back for 2 quarters. And we still have to hit the target Q4, or we end up, doing a down run, and most of us got to get laid off. And they give you 1 hour. So, Mike, you have an hour to basically, help our reps, build this resilience and get back in the game. Can you tell me, what would you do?
I got 1 hour to turn around a company?
Yes.
I love this. All right. Well, it's not just me that's going to come in. I'm going to bring my friend Ted, and I'm going to bring my friend Carl, and I'm going to bring some awe to the situation. Okay. So these are all acronyms that hopefully you picked up on the theme, and hopefully your listeners are picking up on this. First, you got to call out the elephant in the room, acknowledge the loss, right? This goes back to what we said earlier. it happened, right? Acknowledge it, right? Validate it, and give yourself permission to process the loss. It sucks. It hurts, right? We have to focus there first. You have to at least acknowledge it. You can't just sweep it under the rug. So we're going to employ my buddy Ted. Ted is, hey, tell me more about what happened. Okay, I'm not going to dwell there, but I need situational context, right? And then we're going to explore this together. So the E in TED is explore. Let's explore more together. And then the D is all about describe. Describe the root cause from your perspective. What did you think? Now, this is where we lean on my buddy Carl. The circumstances. Describe for me, right? The root cause. Describe for me the circumstances. What actually occurred from your perspective, from the leader's perspective. Like everyone's going to have a perspective on this. And then what actions did we take or didn't take, right? That's the A in Carl. And then because of the circumstance and the action we took, what was the actual result? Did we forget to do something? Did we miss something, right? What was the result? And then the L is the unlock. What are the lessons learned, right? You don't lose a deal. I mean, you do, but you don't really lose it if you learn from it. I know it's hard to say. I remember being told once, like, hey, I lost this RFP. And I actually had an outside person come in and go, dude, you were in the game. Losing is not being in the game. You were in the game. You didn't win that one, but you got in that bat. You had an opportunity to learn, present. I'm like, whoa. So for me, the unlock is, immediately pivoting to reframing the setback as a learning opportunity. So losses are part of the game. Like if you win everyone, write a book.
Let's talk. I want to learn from you.
Yeah. Look, losses are part of the game, right? It's part of business. Not everyone wins the World Series. Not everyone goes to the playoffs, but they don't define us. And that's the problem in sales. It defines us. So my goal is to help them walk away with a winning mindset, right? What's important now? So that shift of what's important now. So the all comes in, and what else could be true about the situation? And then it goes back to what we were just talking about, the root cause analysis. There are drainers, there are things, there's judgments of ourselves, of others, of the situation, right? What went wrong? And then there's chargers. And this is the unlock, right? This is where empathy comes in. Empathize with the situation. We explore together because now I can empathize with you. So what actually happened? We explore the root cause and then we navigate, right? We look back and we say, hey, at the end of the quarter, at the end of this fiscal year, what will be really, really important? It's not worrying about what was lost, but what we're going to win. We innovate together. Like we identified some key gaps. We're going to close those, right? So it goes to accepting and converting those to a gift. And then we activate this faster framework. So what's the faster framework? What's this activation? It's like, what are the next actions we're going to take? So faster is all about getting hyper-focused on the A, the action that we're going to take together. The S is all about simple and sustainable. What's that simple, small step that we're going to do to bridge the gap? The T is transparent target. What are we going to do together? So we're focused, actionable accountability, simple transparency in our target that we're going to hit. E is we got to remain calm, right? If we are not equanimitable, if we don't have this equanimity, we're going to come across. It's essential to winning the rest of the year. So one deal does not define us. And the R is about the revenue, the results. We got to review what worked, revise, rinse, and repeat. Now, that was a lot in a little, but that's what I would do. And we could spend, would you give me an hour?
Man, wow. it's
We go deep in every one of this. Like that was a speed version. That was a speed version.
Look, Mike, it's again impactful here. Like for me right now, like I'm supposed to be a podcast host, right? But I was deeply like listening and try to like analyze in my head. Okay, what can I take from this? When can I apply that one? We should do another one. Definitely go, deeper into each one of these. So first and foremost, can I get access to your to your framework? Would you send it to me?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Michael, I've had a lot of people ask me for access to the framework, so I'm really, really pleased to offer the framework up to anyone that wants it. You can go to resultslab.io, and then up in the navigation bar, it says access to the Results OS, free. Just click it, and then you can log in and gain access to it. And part of that will walk you through the great framework, the faster framework, the performance framework. And then we do have a bunch of worksheets that you can actually work through a lot of the thought, because we threw out a lot of things for you to think about. This actually steps you through it. It walks you through how to be great every day, how to get faster every day, and how to pull it all together every day.
This is fantastic. Look, I appreciate you being.
Perfect. This was
Yeah.
fantastic. This was great. We were talking about
I
resilience.
feel
I have
great.
no idea if we actually landed on resilience. That's how we built it one day at a time.
I loved it, man. I loved it. We should do definitely another one and go deeper in each one of these questions. And again, I appreciate you being so generous, giving access, to your framework. I'm going to go download it right away. If someone wants to reach out to you and have a conversation, first and foremost, can they and how?
Absolutely. And yes. So the way that you can do it, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm big on LinkedIn. It's M D'Angelo on LinkedIn. You can find Results Lab also on LinkedIn. And then we're also on the web at resultslab.io. We welcome the conversation. You can always book 25 minutes with me. We can have a chat. We can talk about the faster, greater frameworks or any of the frameworks that are available. So that's where you can find me, Michael.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Mike. I really enjoyed this.
We go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, just celebrate. There was a lot. There was a
I
lot.
know. I know.
All right.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Have a
Have
good
a
one.
great
Guys,
week.
hope you enjoyed it too. Bye for now.